What's good, family? Welcome back to the channel. You would have thought we've seen it all when it comes to these toxic relationships. So many times, even on Instagram Live, you had like a couple shooting at each other. So many times, boyfriend killing their girlfriend, girlfriend killing their boyfriend over some jealousy or whatever it is. And you would have thought that's as bad as it gets. But nah. Guys, it gets even worse. In this video right here, we have this disturbing case with Chris Watts. He was a husband. He actually had an entire family. And from the thumbnail, it says that he literally took the lives of his entire family for his mistress. So I want to see how this story really broke down. I'm going to be honest with you guys. If you are new to the channel, make sure you hit that subscribe button and like the video, turn on post notifications. All right, let's get straight into this. The red flags missed in the disturbing Chris Watts case. Inmate exposes him. Let's see what's going on.
August 13th, 2018. A day that would shatter the facade of a seemingly perfect family. To the world, Chris Watts appeared to be a loving father and devoted husband. Behind closed doors lay a story twisted by betrayal, passion, and the darkest of secrets. A family annihilated, a father accused.
It's been earth-shattering.
Words that come to mind when I hear the evidence in this case are a senseless crime.
Yet, as the layers are peeled back, another figure emerges from the shadows, a mistress. Is it possible that the woman investigators never saw as a suspect
And Nicole, can you just introduce yourself for the recording?
Nicole Kessinger.
is the missing piece of the puzzle?
Trying to everybody, all of you fools.
This case is a chilling one that haunts the public to this day.
I cannot get over it. I need to understand it.
Let's unravel the case of Chris Watts, a tale where darkness can lurk behind the most unsuspecting of doors.
This video is similar
In
to
the
Report
brief
News.
yet persistent glimpses Shanann provided into her life via Facebook, it appeared she had it all. 2 adorable daughters, ages 4 and 3, who will be referred to by their initials B and C.
So I'm here with my little munchkins. Hi. You gotta say hi.
Hi. I want to stay with her. Don't take her away.
I'm not taking her away. Can they have kisses?
Yeah? I need kisses.
A big, beautiful home in Frederick, Colorado, and a husband who was not only a present father,
Say hi.
My daddy. My daddy is a hero. He helps me grow up strong. My turn.
Is Daddy doing your hair?
Trying to.
Thank you for the food.
but a man Shanann described as her rock.
Well, one thing led to another, and he's the best thing that has ever happened to me.
Introduced through Facebook in 2009 and married by 2012, the relationship between Chris and Shanann Watts stood as a testament to the possibility of finding true connection in the digital age. As Shanann's brother, Frankie Rusick's presumed at their wedding.
She's been looking her whole life for a good guy. I couldn't ask for a better one.
And if the Watts family really was living their happily ever after, it seemed they were about to receive another bundle of joy. Yep, by May 2018, Shanann was expecting, and according to Chris's live reaction to that news, the husband seemed up for the challenge of baby number 3.
We did it again. I like that shirt. Really?
Really?
The pink is gonna be girls.
I don't know. Just a test.
That's awesome.
Wow.
Guess when you want to, it happens.
Of course, Shanann and Chris's relationship wasn't as perfect as a curated social media feed made it seem. They faced some financial troubles, even filing for bankruptcy in 2015. Neighbors had undoubtedly witnessed a heated driveway argument or two, and Shanann's tense relationship with her in-laws, who had notably declined their wedding invite, had never fully healed. But hey, these are the kinds of trials marriages face, right? Maybe. Yet, Shanann couldn't deny that something in her husband had switched. Over the summer, Chris had grown cold, distant, checked out. He no longer wanted to talk to her, yet alone be intimate. He even appeared to have lost interest in the children. Desperately, Shanann looked into self-help books and counseling in an attempt to salvage the life she and her husband had built together. She even resorted to writing Chris love letters. And in one letter she left for Chris before going away on a work trip to Arizona on August 9th, 2018, she vowed to make amends with his mother.
Wait, hold up. It says, I can't explain how hard this pain hurts. The last 5 weeks have been so hard. I missed everything about you. I missed your morning breath, your touch, your lips. Dang, she was really in love. Nah, for real, this is her. Man, I really don't know how we fell out of compatibility. The only major thing that happened was between your mom and I. I can't change what happened, and I will work with you and them to work things out. There has to be a mutual respect from all parties.
To Arizona on August 9th, 2018, she vowed to make amends with his mother and fight for their marriage. At the bottom, she signed, "Love always, Shanann." But as fate would have it, the wife wouldn't be able to keep her promise. At 1:48 a.m. on August 13th, 2018, neighbor, friend, and co-worker Nicole Atkinson dropped Shanann off at her home under the impression she received a text from Shanann later that morning if she needed someone to take her to her prenatal appointment. But when morning came, there was no word from Shanann, despite Nicole's attempts to reach out. So like any good neighbor, Nicole went to the Watts' home and started knocking. But there was no sound on the other side of the door. Concerned, Nicole decided to call Chris, but the husband waved off her worries. Shanann and the girls are on a play date, he had told her, but that couldn't be right. Not when the car and the car seats were still in the garage. While Chris told Nicole he would be home soon. As minutes ticked by with no show, the neighbor made the decision to dial 911.
I said, Chris, can you just come home and check to make sure she's okay? Because the shoes she wears every single day are right inside her door. And he was like, yeah, I'll be there in 3 minutes. Well, that was 45 minutes ago.
Nicole expressed the reasons for her concern.
She wasn't feeling well over the weekend, and she was very, distraught and out of the sorts because her and her husband are having issues.
And it wasn't long before law enforcement was on the scene.
Hi.
Here, Nicole?
Yes.
But while the officer could knock on windows and doors,
Nicole, a real
and get
one.
intel from those who knew Shanann.
He called me. Shannon was at a girlfriend's house.
Do we know who that is?
Do we know who?
Her phone number?
He didn't say.
He couldn't enter the locked premises until Chris arrived.
Mind if I come in, Chris?
Once inside, their search from empty room to empty room drew one conclusion. Shanann and the girls were gone. But where? Well, as Chris took inventory of what was missing from the home,
Chris,
and what was
Chris
left
must have been like, dang, that was quick. The cops already on my butt. And that joint just happened less than 24 hours
behind,
ago.
including their youngest daughter's EpiPen, Shanann's purse, and...
For calls here?
Does she work?
Yes.
And there was no note or anything by the wedding ring?
It seemed the clues were just as mystifying as the circumstances.
You know where Pasco?
I don't know where Pasco is.
It used to be 2385, but now it's 6 digits.
You guys have any kind of issues? Marital issues, or?
We're going through separation.
You are? Did you guys file it yet or anything, or just talking?
No, we're gonna sell the house. It says 5:27 a.m. the overhead garage door 2 was left open, it never shut. It says the basement door was left open at 5:26.
But then a neighbor came forward with something that might be of interest to the investigation. Surveillance footage.
I get cars driving from this street, from this street. This is him at 517.
Park out there on the side, I just want to get everything done. Be easier to loading everything out there, all the tools that I had to bring in.
Oh, he's stressed.
Yet the only person caught on camera that morning was Chris, backing his truck out, then loading it before leaving at 5:26 a.m. And if this footage wasn't already suspicious, the husband's reaction sure was.
I'm gonna get his info real quick. No.
Never loads his stuff in and out of the garage ever.
Right.
and the husband's public plea for the safe return of his family on Denver 7 the next day was just as unsettling.
He doesn't refer to his family in any kind of intimate way. He doesn't use their names. It's called distancing.
I hope that she's somewhere safe right now and with the kids. But if somebody has her and they're not safe, like, I want them back now. I need to see everybody. I need to see everybody again. This house is not complete without anybody here.
Then I also want you to look at his physical distancing. He's in closed body position and he's rocking back and forth in a self-soothing sort of way.
I just want them back. I just want them to come back.
And it wasn't just the public that was unnerved by Chris. The husband's odd behavior had also caught the attention of investigators.
I just don't believe some of the things you're telling me. Simply do not believe you.
Shortly after his segment on Denver 7, Chris sat down for his first interview with FBI Special Agent Graham Coder. However, the only thing Chris admitted was that they had a disagreement over their marriage that morning, which, while tense, wasn't exactly criminal.
It was a conversation. We didn't raise our voice, nothing.
But from Chris's emotionless demeanor,
It's making me lean the other direction about someone took her. But if someone took her, it would have to have been someone she knew. Because there's no sign of anything like being disturbed, broken. Are you thinking about anything while I step down? So much I want to see these two girls and my wife again. And someone come home.
to the way he talked about his daughters in the past tense.
She always loves them shoes. She always wears flip flops. She always will. She's a tiger. She's a early girl. But
Something wasn't adding up.
nothing you told me tonight makes sense. Nothing you told me tonight feels like the truth.
And as law enforcement pieced together Chris's movements from the day of his family's disappearance, suspicions only rose. See, aside from going to his job as an oil field operator for Anadarko Petroleum, Chris had also informed his daughter's school they would not be attending anymore.
I told him that we were going to sell the house. We're going to put it on the market if I wouldn't be in the area anymore.
Why wasn't they good to daycare?
I'm not sure. Honestly, sir, I'm not sure.
Chris then contacted their realtor to inquire about selling their home. At one point in the text exchange, the realtor even questioned whether Shanann was okay because she hadn't weighed in on their conversation. She hasn't been around all day. It's very odd, Chris replied. But perhaps the most inexplicable and, in hindsight, foretelling choice Chris made that morning was to Google the lyrics to Metallica's Battery, a song that contains the chilling chorus, "Smashing through the boundaries, lunacy has found me, cannot stop the battery, pounding out aggression, turns into obsession, cannot end the battery, cannot end the family, battery is found in me." But what happened on August 13th was the only question that law enforcement wanted answered. The other, well, that was the why. Why would Chris have wanted his family to disappear? Well, when it comes to men and unexplainable behavior, investigators who'd been in the field long enough had a hunch. There had to be another woman.
I have never cheated on my wife.
Yes, Chris denied straying on his wife, despite Agent Coder's persistence.
I gotta ask, what's her name? I don't have another one. You sure?
But the father's poker face was no match for his phone and computer records. It quickly became apparent that Chris was romantically entangled with a coworker, a woman who contacted the police the very next day. So on August 15th, 2018, as Chris took part in his scheduled polygraph tests conducted by Colorado Bureau of Investigation agent Tammy Lee.
I mean, I hope that, if you did have something to do with their disappearance, it would be really stupid for you to come in and take a polygraph today.
And then entered his second interrogation. Law enforcement was also speaking to Chris's mistress, a woman by the name of Nicole Kessinger.
He has no idea. Nobody. I think he's a really good guy. And, I'm worried about his life.
Nicole told the investigators she met Chris in early June at the office as she had been contracted by Anadarko Petroleum to work in their environmental department.
And he informed me that he did have 2 daughters. He also told me that he was currently in the process of the separation from
It's why.
Despite this obstacle, their relationship progressed, and the Chris she had come to know during this time wouldn't have done anything to hurt his family. But then again, did she really know Chris at all? After all, the fact that his wife had been 15 weeks pregnant was news to Nicole. Was a man capable of hiding this information, capable of something even more deadly?
It's really concerning me that this woman and her children cannot be located. It's not okay. It scares me. Like, I'm worried for all of them.
Well, the results of Chris's polygraph had done nothing to clear his name. While Chris had responded no to the test's 3 questions that included whether he had caused Shanann's disappearance, whether he was lying about when he last saw her, and whether he knew where his wife was, it looked like he should have answered in the affirmative. Chris had failed, and as the truth started spilling out,
We just can't figure out why there's 2 Chris's. So we need to talk about that, okay? That's your daughter. I know.
all it took was a little coaxing.
I didn't lie to you on that polygraph, I promise. Chris, I never stole.
And a scapegoat presented on a silver platter.
Did Shanann do something to them, and then you feel like you had to do something to Shanann? Chicks are crazy.
For Chris to fess up to his father, at least partially. As for where his family was, that would be the work site he visited the morning of their disappearance, Survey 319. At this point, law enforcement already descended upon the site after using the GPS data from Chris's truck to see where he traveled on August 13th. From here, it didn't take long for a drone to discover a crimson-stained bedsheet. But where were Shanann and the girls?
That's for Shanann. Okay, and where are the girls at?
That evening, officers recovered the remains of Shanann from a shallow grave. The next morning, the 2 girls were retrieved from the oil tanks with an opening just over 8 inches. Chris was arrested that night on suspicion of 3 first-degree murder charges and 3 charges of tampering with a deceased human body. But now that law enforcement officially had their guy, was it possible they ruled out a potential accomplice too quickly?
I don't think this girl did anything to hurt anybody. Leave her out of it. Okay, get back to your wife and your daughters.
The day following Chris's confession, Nicole was interviewed by CBI agent Kevin Kobach, this time with her father in attendance. While the mistress could provide them with a cute anecdote on how Chris had revealed he was a father.
And then one day he told me that he had 2 kids. I was like, that's pretty cool. And started telling me about his kid.
That sounded like a sarcastic comment.
No, I thought it was kind of cute. I was like, oh, he's a dad.
Nicole wasn't so candid when it came to handing over her phone.
I really want to help you guys. I do. I feel like this whole thing is just going to be crazy regardless of whether I give you my phone or not.
Besides, she deleted Chris's contact along with some information that was pretty paramount to the investigation, their texts.
I was just kind of grossed out by him, to be honest with you. I was just like, I don't know what's going on right now, but you just lied to me, and I don't want to see this come over my phone anymore. So I removed it.
As for Nicole's recollection, well, it was faulty. For example, she couldn't remember much when it came to her 111-minute phone call with Chris on the night Shanann returned home.
Bruh. Oh my gosh. Jeez. You ever want to figure out if your partner is cheating? Go to their phone bill. Oh my gosh. The talk activity shows it all. Wow. You can get that. Bro, you can get that with your partner's phone account.
Her 111-minute phone call with Chris on the night Shanann returned home.
I still don't remember what we talked about. Honestly, we talked about so much random stuff. It's so hard to pinpoint some of these things.
As for their FaceTime the following morning, Nicole had trouble recalling that as well, although she did notice something strange. There were no sheets on Chris's bed, and it was hard to forget the lies he had fed her about his wife's disappearance.
He said, she told me that she's pregnant, and she told me that the kid is not mine. I legitimately thought this woman left the premises with her kids and just wanted nothing to do with him for 24 hours.
Nicole remembered that he had also brought up Shanann's wedding ring that he'd found when searching the house, but clearly not for sentimental reasons.
He said, "How much do you think it's worth?" And I remember hearing him say that and being like, what the? And I remember thinking to myself, I don't even know how to respond to this.
So how did Nicole respond?
I was like, I don't know, pawn it, man.
But was the mistress as tortured by her involvement with Chris as she seemed?
They're going to say, oh, you're the woman that had an affair with this man who took out his whole family. And I take a step back and it's just like, I didn't know. He's so disgusting. I'm so ashamed of him and everything. And I just... Oh, those little girls. They're so little. So little. Why? Why? How? I don't even understand how you could bring yourself to do that.
Guys, comment down below. Do you think that she is acting, or do you think she's acting and she was actually in on everything that went on, or do you think she's actually shocked about what went on and she didn't really know? Comment down below.
But it was that big.
Well, as Agent Kobach put it,
phone records don't lie, people do.
And it seemed that Nicole's records told an entirely different story. For example, the mistress continually claimed she didn't know Shanann was pregnant, or even her name at the beginning of their relationship.
Did he mention the children's name or his significant other's name?
I didn't know his significant other's name for a while.
Yet, according to the Weld County District Attorney's Office's documents on the case, Nicole's phone contained hours worth of searches from Shanann's name that date back to September 2017, almost a year before her life was taken. And while the Frederick Police Department initially claimed the 2017 date was a typo, Weld County District Attorney Michael Rourke...
Oh, they got her search history from back 2017. Oh my gosh.
...later acknowledged that this was the date her phone data reflected. And if Nicole did have the habit of looking into Shanann's socials, well, how hidden could the pregnancy have been from the mistress? Similarly, Shanann's social media made no suggestions that she and Chris were separating, and despite Nicole's insistence that she believed the couple was on the precipice of divorce, her activity on July 24, 2018 suggested this wasn't so certain when she typed into the search, "Man I'm having an affair with says he will leave his wife." And then there was Nicole's claim that she wasn't as invested in the relationship as Chris.
He was a lot more into me than I was into him.
Was it possible the office place romance of emails turned into text, turned into handwritten letters of undying love and scandalous photos hidden in a fake calculator app had been one-sided?
Oh, snap.
Nicole's blasé statements about the relationship didn't sound like the same woman who had left giddy voicemails for Chris.
Hi. It's me. I miss your face. I was just calling to say hi.
Nor did they sound like the same woman who had sent personalized video messages.
Thank you so much for coming out here with me, Christopher. I'm having a wonderful time. You mean a lot to me, and I'm glad that you're having a blast. I am so out of breath.
And in mid-July, she asked Chris to make a choice between her and his wife. Still, Nicole claimed she encouraged Chris to make amends with his wife on their trip to North Carolina. Shanann and the children had left for North Carolina on June 27, 2018, for a 5-week vacation where they planned to spend time with both Shanann and Chris's families. On July 10th, Shanann asked Chris if he was okay because it seemed like he didn't want to talk to her. Chris blamed his attitude on work. "I didn't mean to seem short, boo. I love you too."
Bro, this is so sad because definitely Shanann, the mom of the two children, and the children, they want to spend time with Pops. You know what I'm saying? They want to spend time with their dad. She's trying to figure out, why is he being so distant right now? You can't control anyone. That's his personal decision. And that could be a frustrating situation and a very heartbreaking situation. It's just crazy. But the fact that he ended it that way is just, that's the part that's just so weird. Why don't you just get a divorce? That is so weird, bro.
"To the moon and back," he wrote. But Shanann didn't accept the excuse, claiming she continued to put work and exercise over her. "I wish my husband wanted to talk to me," she replied. On July 31st, Chris joined the family in North Carolina. However, the happy reunion was short-lived as on August 4th, an argument occurred after Chris's mother served food with peanuts, despite Shanann reminding her mother-in-law that their daughter C had a severe tree nut allergy. These kids are my world, and I have to protect them from the evil of the world. I shouldn't have to protect them from an evil family, she texted Chris. She's evil and willing to risk your daughter's life just to get under my skin. And tensions only rose after the grandparents skipped C's birthday later that day. Meanwhile, back in Colorado, Nicole was using her break from Chris to online shop for wedding dresses, a quest that appeared significant, as by August 8th, she was searching, marrying your mistress. But was Shanann as clueless to the affair as she seemed? Well, the wife could certainly sense something had changed in her husband. Chris told me last night he's scared to death about this third baby, and he's happy with just our daughters and doesn't want another baby, she confided in a friend over text on August 7th. And while Shanann's friend attempted to console her, something wasn't sitting right. He has changed. I don't know who he is, she wrote. A couple days later, she told a friend Chris had checked out of the relationship, despite them being what she thought was in love when she left. He said he had a lot of time to think, she wrote. They said they'd agreed together to try to have another kid, but now she didn't even feel comfortable having a gender reveal after he wouldn't even grab her hand when she reached for him at their ultrasound appointment. It was a boy, their first. His name was going to be Nico, news Shanann thought would lift Chris's spirits.
I know. Boy. Chris wants a boy. I hope it's a boy for him. It'll make him happy.
Only thing I can think of, even though I don't think he has it in him, is another girl, Shanann texted her friend. However, Chris denied any affair, and by the time of Shanann's trip to Arizona, for the first time that month, it seemed she had hope for their marriage. Tonight has been the best talk yet, she texted a friend on August 9th. 4 days before her husband took her life. But then, Shanann's suspicions grew on August 11th when she noticed charges on their account at the Lazy Dog Sports Bar and Grill in Erie, Colorado, that amounted to over $60. Chris hadn't dined alone. But in the early morning hours, when Shanann's life was taken, where was Nicole? Agent Kobach warned the mistress that with her data, they would also be extracting GPS information.
We want to know where you were that day, too. You're dating a man who did some egregious stuff, and we want to show that you were never near him that day.
And lo and behold, that morning, Nicole's phone appeared to ping in the same town where the Watts lived, Frederick, Colorado, over 20 minutes away from Nicole's home. This had led some to theorize that the unfamiliar truck neighbors saw outside of the Watts' home belonged to Nicole. In Nicole's third interview, Agent Kobach also asked her about the strange text she had sent Chris that day, a request for him to prove he was at the oil site by sending photos.
The thing we talked about was him proving that he went to the oil field.
That he went to work.
The day after Shanann and her children's disappearance, Nicole spent almost 4 hours searching the web for any news reports on the case. She also searched a series of questions, including for Ender Shanann.
Before this even became a thing, she was searching about it if it became a case, so.
Proving that he went to the oil field.
That he went to work.
The day after Shanann and her children's disappearance, Nicole spent almost 4 hours searching the web for any news reports on the case. She also searched a series of questions, including, can cops trace text messages? How long do phone companies keep text messages? And difference between text message content and text message detail. She then deleted her search history. According to Nicole, the current media circus surrounding her because of her relationship with Chris.
That just shows deleting your search history does not do anything. Jeez.
Was the last thing she wanted.
The media came to my house, left a letter, handwritten and chicken scratch. Like, oh, I went to today's show, you should call me. It's like, why would I do that?
But again, Nicole's search history told a different story. On August 19th, she had looked up Amber Frey, the mistress of Scott Peterson in the eerie similar case, who was convicted of taking the life of his pregnant wife. According to the police report, Nicole's searches included Frey's book deal, her net worth, and did people hate Amber Frey? And it seemed Nicole got her answer to the latter, as after receiving numerous threats, she removed herself from public life, and by 2020 applied for a name change. Her current whereabouts are unknown. As for Chris Watts, well, we know exactly where he is. On November 6, 2018, Chris accepted a plea deal, avoiding the death penalty, and in turn ending further investigation into the case. He pleaded guilty to the 9 counts against him, which included 5 counts of first-degree homicide, with 2 extra added on, since the children were under 12, 3 counts of tampering with remains, and 1 count of unlawful termination of a pregnancy. During his November 19th sentencing, in an uncharacteristic moment from the notoriously emotionless husband, he cried as his mother spoke in court.
This is something we will never get over.
Dang.
We will always mourn the loss of our family. I am still struggling to understand how and why this tragedy occurred.
But clearly, it was too late for tears. As Chris sat with his foot shaking on the ground, the judge sentenced him to 3 consecutive life terms with no chance at parole.
This is perhaps the most inhumane and vicious crime that I have handled out of the thousands of cases that I have seen. And nothing less than a maximum sentence would be appropriate, and anything less than the maximum sentence would depreciate the seriousness of this offense.
A fitting punishment for the crime, as Chris himself said during his first interview with police.
When we find the guy who took him, what do you think we should do? Life in prison?
It wasn't until February 2019 that Chris Watts gave his full confession to law enforcement from behind the bars of a maximum security prison. He admitted he had taken Shanann's life after an argument over their marriage. He said afterwards their eldest daughter B walked in, blanket in tow, and asked what was wrong with her mom. He then wrapped Shanann in a sheet and placed her under the floorboard of his truck and sat his daughters in the vehicle. When he arrived at the oil field, he first took C's life in the backseat of the truck and disposed of her body in the oil tank. He then approached B, who had the same hair and eyes as her father.
She said, what happened to C?
She then asked her father, "Is the same thing going to happen to me as my sister?"
She said, no, Daddy. That's the last thing she said.
The horrible truth of what happened the morning of August 13th was finally out, and for some, it was more than they could stomach. Shortly after receiving Chris's full confession, lead detective Dave Baumhover was diagnosed with PTSD. He couldn't live the same life anymore, not when something as simple as the sight of 2 little girls forced him to leave a restaurant. He couldn't work anymore either, and decided to leave his job. And he wasn't alone. After the case, Agent Tammy Lee broke down at the hair salon. Oil tanks became a reoccurring theme in attorney Michael Rourke's nightmares, and images of the recovered remains lived on in members of the Colorado Bureau of Investigation's minds, like they were drawn on with Sharpie. And of course, there was Shanann's family, that even as they grappled to understand what their son-in-law had done.
I think the hardest part, knowing our granddaughter watched her sister and then begged for her life. Yeah, I don't know how much worse than you can hear.
In their grief, they were still able to empathize with the toll the case had taken on law enforcement.
Everybody needed so much therapy after that. Our hearts just go out to all of them that work so damn hard on this case.
But if there was one person on Chris's side, it was his family, especially his mother. In an interview with 9 News in November 2018, Cindy Watts instead took aim.
Just from investigating and being a detective for that case, he ended up having PTSD. Because this man, he's over here investigating, and he's like really sitting with the truth and the reality of this entire thing. Like, even like I'm over here listening to it and it sounds crazy and everything like that, but he's over investigating, having conversations with the man that did it. And especially like when you're investigating something, you go to sleep thinking about it, you waking up thinking about it. Like, that's what you're really thinking about, trying to figure out what went on.
Aim at her son's first victim, his wife. Cindy Watts instead took aim at her son's first victim, his wife.
It was always a little strange that she always said a lot of things about Chris in front of me that I didn't like. Like, this isn't the kind of person I would date. He doesn't know how to do this, or he doesn't know how to do that. He looks like a skater boy.
In fact, when Chris started talking about divorce, Cindy was thrilled.
I finally thought, he's finally seen the light.
But even before Chris's full confession, the mother had doubts when it came to vouching for her son's innocence.
Have you reconciled the idea that he could have done all of this?
Yes. And that scares me to death. I don't see why he's pleading guilty. I wouldn't. I'd fight. I'd fight to the end. But then you ask yourself, would a normal person dispose of the bodies the way you did?
Despite the distress Chris's conviction caused his family, the inmate has proved a life sentence isn't exactly life-ending. See, after his guilty verdict, Chris won himself some admirers.
I visit him about every 2 to 3 weeks.
And while the fuss over the convict eventually plateaued, more admirers emerged after Netflix's documentary, American Murder: The Family Next Door, was released in September 2020. Chris received an influx of fan mail, mainly from women, according to People magazine. But it was a pen pal from early on in his sentence that ended up providing further insight into the case. In Letters to Christopher, first-time author Sherilyn Cattle published her correspondence with the inmate. In these letters, he claimed he attempted to take his children's lives before he had his fight with Shanann, but realized he had been unsuccessful after they woke up. He also confessed to slipping his wife oxycodone in the weeks before taking her life, in an attempt to induce a miscarriage, after Nicole told him she wanted to give him his first son. He believed Shanann's pregnancy was what stood between him and happiness. "If I had not met Nikki, I would never have ended my family," he told Sherilyn. But despite blaming his former mistress in 2021, David Carter, an inmate that had stayed at Chris's correctional facility, told the Daily Mail that Chris and Nicole were back in communication after she started writing him under her new name. David Carter claimed Chris's email account was suspended after prison authorities caught word of the correspondence, as he wasn't supposed to have any contact with her. He also told The Sun that Chris told him Nicole was responsible for taking his daughters' lives, because he wasn't able to stomach ending his own kids. Yet from unvetted sources to Chris's ever-changing version of events, the truth of what happened on August 13th still remains a mystery. The case of Chris Watts has maintained public interest for various reasons, including the looming questions concerning his motivation.
Mr. Watts, why did you kill your wife and 2 children?
And lasting suspicions over whether Chris truly acted alone.
This shocked me just as much as I think it shocked the rest of the world. All of it. Like, he lied so much. Now I go back and think about all this shit, and I'm like, it's lies. He lied to everybody. He had all of you.
But mainly, this case remains on the minds of those who have come across it for one simple fact. What happened on August 13th, 2018 was a tragedy that, despite any justice served, can never be undone.
My name's Nicole, and I'm calling because I'm concerned about a friend of mine.
What it looks like is that you found a new life, and the only way to get that new life was to get rid of the old life. And I think that you killed these girls before their mom came home, and killed Shanann.
Major developments in the disappearance of that pregnant mother and her 2 young daughters this morning. Investigators now believe they have found the bodies of all 3.
We loved you like a son. We trusted you. Your faithful wife trusted you. Your children adored you, and they also trusted you.
You're a hero, blue and blue. My daddy is love.
Something had to overcome.
This is the story of Chris Watts, the former husband and father who through one heinous act has become undeserving of either title.
Bruh. It's like, I always just think to myself, like, how could a person possibly get to even thinking about doing such thing? Forget even carrying it out. But you start to think about it, and then you go to carry it out. Like, how does that even come about on a person? Like, how does that even rest upon a person? You feel what I'm saying? And I always have to go to start thinking spiritually. Because, I mean, you know, I believe in the spirit realm, and I believe, you know, there's a spirit of God, and I do believe that there are demonic spirits that influence individuals to do certain things that are just very detrimental. And it's like, any person with a rational mind would question, you know, what, like, overcame this person? Like, what possessed this person to do this? And this man was possessed, definitely possessed by some devil, demons, whatever, blah, blah, blah. And he ended up doing this right here. Now, as for Nicole, the mistress, she was on similar type of timing too. Like, she had no sympathy. She had no morals. Like, she didn't care about the family. She was literally saying, I want you to divorce them. I want to give you your first son. So she was basically the tempter. You feel what I'm saying? She was the one really tempting him to do that. Now, I'm not putting the blame on her whatsoever. The man has to take full accountability for what he did. But what I'm saying is that just the fact that he carried it out shows that there had to have been some sort of something had to possess him to do such a thing, because that is freaking crazy, bonkers type of story, bruh. Woo! Hope you guys did enjoy this video. Make sure you do smash that like button, subscribe since you did watch this one video, and turn on post notifications so you can catch when I drop another video for y'all. I'm gonna catch you guys in the next one the same way you're gonna catch me in the next one. Peace. Love y'all.